Hi, Vandalina. Are we live? All right. Hi, everyone. You guys see me? I don't know why it looks like the screen is black on my end, which is not how that should look. Not how that should look at all. When is this gonna pop up? When is it gonna pop up? YouTube's always up to something. Okay, let's. I don't know. All right. Can people hear me and see me? I'm not. Okay, people can see me. Okay. I was a little worried for a second. I was like, okay. It says I'm live now. You see a floofy bum. Hopefully that's not the only thing you're seeing, but if it's the only thing that you want to focus on, that's fine. Hi, I know. 3D tail action. My goodness. Hi. We took a little nap together on the couch. She loved that. Hi, everyone. How's your Friday? What's going on? How is everyone? Thank you so much for the early crew, for everyone being here early. We love that. Hope everyone was having a good conversation. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, let's see now. Let us see. Hello, Lexi and Courtney and Vincent. And let's see who else. I saw some other names. And Brian and Twixie and Janelle. Or John L. perhaps. And Christian and Stormfelt. And Pom Mom. Do you have a Pomeranian, Pom Mom? If so, please tell me the details of your Pomeranian. I would like to know. I saw a Pomeranian earlier today on a walk. It was a black and tan, and I was so excited. But I was in the car, so I didn't get to say hello. I just looked and went, look at that Pomeranian. Hello, Satyr Wolf and Phil's Violet and Amber and Meowlina and Nathan and Maggie and Desiree and Catherine and Leonis and Deanston and DJ Basshawk. I don't know why I'm like hitting it on a sing-songy note today, but that's what we're going with. Hello, Abyss Logic. Hello, Henry. Hello, Unnatural to Some. Hello, Craig. Someone tell me I'm going to be able to make it through the next week. All right, we're all going to make it through the next week. All right, I know I am also very busy, stressful things. I got lots of blood work being done. We're all going to make it together, all right? We're all going to make it. Oh, I'm so sorry, Stella. Yes, I'm having a horrible anxiety attack. Live stream will hopefully help. They often do. Well, I will try my best. I am no substitute for medical help, but we do have a very cute little flufferino who is always so full of joy and never anxious about anything, really. And then she yawns, and sometimes it's very cute. So gaze upon the dog and feel the comfort that only her floof can bring. I wish there's a way to, like, smell, like a way to communicate how my dog smells to you all, because she has a very calming smell. I don't know how to describe it. She has just like a calming dog smell, like not like a dirty dog, but just you smell her and it's like, ah, pleasant, relaxing. Tasmania. Whoa, what's going on in Tasmania? Anyone else sad FrolyCon sold out? Oh yeah, that's like this weekend, or well, it's not next weekend because it's Mother's Day, but it's like it's right around now, isn't it? I mean, I'm sad, but also like I go to conventions that sell out like 6+ months in advance. So if it sells out immediately before, I'm like, well, that's kind of expected. Like, doesn't that normally happen? But yeah, I get it. It's sad when I think you want to go to sells out. Absolutely. I feel like I remember somebody telling me that it's Mercury in retrograde. So perhaps if you're somebody who takes stock in that, that could be a potential explanation for some of the bad feelings, maybe. No, she's not anxious about being with the cat. Well, she's anxious. So one of my roommates has a cat now, and she is obsessed with cats, like loves cats to death. So the feeling that she seems to have around cats is more similar to like she loves it so much, she doesn't know what to do about it, and she doesn't know how to handle it. And so she just shakes with sheer joy, and it wants to explode because she's so happy and doesn't know what to do. And now they have a little bit more of a regular relationship where they'll like smell each other and sit by each other like very briefly, and like there's a little bit more calmness now, but she loves being around the cat. But sometimes she gets nervous and anxious about the cat being picked up or carried around. She does not like that part, but just being around the cat I think is mostly a positive, non-anxiety inducing experience. But I don't know. Pluto is in retrograde? Whoa, what does Pluto in retrograde mean? Is that like super Mercury in retrograde? Like, give me the details about Pluto in retrograde. I must know. Oh, I'm so glad that people seem to like ThriveCon. I did not get to go at all. I had to take advantage of a very sunny weekend to get a lot of very necessary housework and like work stuff done. So I didn't get to go to a single ThriveCon class, but I've been the past couple of years and they've been really great, and I recommended it to a ton of people. I saw there were lots of good classes on the lineup in terms of conversations about ADHD and BDSM, or handling rejection sensitive dysphoria, or bipolar or borderline personality disorder, or OCD, like you name it. It was a conversation. There was a panel about it. There was a class about it. And I think there was even one like on psychosis or maybe schizophrenia too. Even stuff that like you definitely would not typically see a class about, because ADHD is like, you know, comparatively extremely common. And so like that you expect to see a class about. But even some things that are a bit more niche don't always get the attention they deserve. Good to see it. And I hope they keep doing it. I love it's free. It's online. It's accessible to anyone around the world. And I don't know if they're doing it this year. I always wonder about offering recordings of online classes. I think there's always a benefit for people that are in different time zones. Because for me, the classes would have started at like 6 a.m., which is, even online, is like, I'm not going to be awake enough to take notes at 6 a.m. I'm not an early morning person. Like for me, waking up at 8 a.m. is like, that's like a really good sweet spot for me. That feels like early-ish, but not like, you know, not like I can't be functional pretty quickly afterwards. I'm just not a big early morning person. And yet the whole world is always revolving around being up early. Oh, there we go. ThriveCon was awesome. Was only able to do Sunday, but was still great regardless. Well, I am glad that you got to go for even a little bit. And I heard that there were many people who said that they were there because of me. So I'm happy about that. Happy to give the recommendation because they deserve it. ThriveCon was great, better than last year when I slept through the whole thing. I hadn't got much sleep. Yeah, that was the first year I went. I was very dedicated to going the first year, and I got up every morning super early, fell asleep, took notes, like took little naps between classes, and it was an intense experience trying to get all that done. But I got through it. And I'm very glad that I did, because a lot of those classes, little bits and pieces from them, I still use and have just in the back of my brain as a tool for things. I woke up at 4 a.m. to get my wife off to work, get her breakfast and lunch made every day. I know some people, like, that's how my family is. Like, my family is also very, like, early risers, and I'm like, what happened here? I don't know. Yeah, I know lots of people, they're like, early for them is like 4 a.m. Like, get up at 4 a.m. and I make my lunch and I make a little smoothie and then I go to the gym and I pack my kids' lunches and then I go to work and then, it's, you know, my commute's an hour and a half long and it's like, oh, Lord. I mean, just applause. That's all I can do is just wow. Wow, I cannot, I don't. I like definitely having both my mornings and my evenings. I'm not like a sleep in until 2 p.m. kind of a person. I do like having the whole, experiencing every part of the day, but I don't necessarily want most of my day to be the early morning either. But I do feel productive when it's like 9:30 and already gotten a bunch done. That does feel good. Oh, basically anything that's really removed from your psyche is about to circle back and hit you in the face with a shovel. Okay, warning noted. Got it, absolutely. Oh yeah, I get up at 5 a.m. just to have an hour of alone time, toddler mom life. Yep, I know people with little kids, and it's like either you get, I think for my family it was mostly they have like a 2 hours in the evening before bed, and then like, yes, it's like an hour in the morning. But little kids, like, I used to be an early riser when I was little. Like, I'd be up at 6 a.m. But then, like, school happens and work happens, and you go, I like sleeping. Then you start sleeping more. Because losing my job 10 a.m. is early for me. I mean, listen, take advantage of sleeping in time while you can, I say. Have that benefit for yourself. Okay. I love talking about this. Let's go ahead and just make sure that everyone here knows what's up, what's going on. We're not normally the talking about, I don't know, toddler mom life podcast. Though I'm sure there is probably not a kinky parenting podcast, but there are plenty of people who talk about that. But in any case, hi everyone, hello, I'm Evie Lupine. This is my weekly Friday night live streams here with my doggo, Bandita, who is right here and so cute and so beautiful. And but really me, because my dog cannot talk and we've not developed any kind of technology to be able to interpret dog language. Hang out with y'all every Friday, do a little interactive Q&A where we talk about kink, BDSM, asexuality, polyamory, dating advice, just general life and relationship stuff. It's a great time. I usually put a couple of suggestions in the title for things we can talk about. But other than that, it's sort of whatever y'all want to do. If we talk about Pluto being in retrograde or growing tomatoes or my dog or whatever it is, that's also cool. But I think today, what did I put? I made the title like a long time ago before I took a nap. Okay, so this has come up a couple times in some of my recent Patreon calls, and so I thought maybe this could be a good topic to like group brainstorm about a little bit, which is power exchange, rituals, protocol, and DS relationships or power. Well, I guess power exchange and DS relationships are sort of synonymous, but just talking about that and how to make that work. And also like dating is maybe dominant and submissive and like finding people that are compatible in a DS way. I think that's also a good thing to maybe have a conversation about. And I think rituals and protocol are things that people are very drawn to, but don't know how to do. And I have a video where I've just talked about like rituals and protocol? Like could I, like something in the title where it's like, oh, this is the thing, this is what ritual is. I feel like I probably have it in like a more general what is power exchange type video, if I had to guess. But if I do have that like somewhere on my channel, because I have, if you don't know, 662 videos on my channel. I've been told that once I make 4 more videos, I need to stop making YouTube videos. But actually, 200 something of those videos are actually just live streams. So it's not really 600, but it's amazing when you think about how much there is to talk about in the world of BDSM. And even though we have been doing these live streams for years and years at this point, 3-4 years now, always still so much to talk about. We have an amazing little community here in the chat, and we oftentimes will crowdsource answers because we have people from all over the world, all levels of experience in BDSM, polyamory, monogamy, kink, vanilla, parents, 19-year-olds that are single, like all walks of life. It's really good, and I love that. All right, I'm going to see if I can find this video real quick. I don't know why YouTube's being a little slow today. I don't know what's going on there. Do I have all that just on like protocol and rituals? Okay, well, I don't have any. That's not how you spell protocol. That could be probably part of the problem there. Let's see, protocol. No, I just have one old video that's about my experience at a high protocol party, which I don't even think is like live anymore. All right, so there's that one, and then let's see, rituals. Okay, maybe I need to put. Okay, I think I need to do a video, and we're gonna put this in my notes right now. Y'all can hold me to this. I'm gonna put down in here. I have a video list. I've talked about it before, where I just write down all of the video ideas that I want to do for future YouTube stuff, and eventually I end up doing a lot of them. But at least it helps me keep track of things that I enjoy the idea of. And I think I need to do one on rituals and protocol, maybe like realistic and like fantasy and stuff. Because obviously this live stream, who knows where it's going to end up. We may end up not talking about either one of those things at all. Also, my dog's moved and I'm going to have to adjust the camera. So, all right, we'll have that one as a note. But otherwise, other than that, what y'all need to know, this is an 18 plus only live stream. So if you're not at least 18, please do not be here, because that keeps everyone in the chat safe. And we do talk about adult topics. And we just try to make sure that we are not mixing minors and adults and kinks together all in one big space, because that's not generally a great thing to do. All right, where did my dog go? Beautiful, perfect, love it. Love it. Look at her. She's like a little curled up potato. She likes being right there. That's one of her favorite spots, or like there in that back corner. She likes being. So, all right, y'all. What is up? What is going on? You need to upload 2 videos at the same time when you have uploaded the 3rd video from now. I mean, I guess. All right. Let's see. And then we do also answer questions in the order they come in. So if you want to make sure I answer your question earlier is always better, because I definitely do not have time to answer every single question, even though I try to get to as many as I can. And then just generally, I don't give advice on medical things, mental health things. I'm just going to tell you to go to a actual certified provider. Also, thank you so much, Vincent, for the $10 super chat before we went live. That was awesome. Thank you. Keeping it going. Keeping the lights on in the Evie Lupine Streaming Center. Okay, I don't know why I can't actually see the first message. It's like covered up with something. Anyways, how is everyone tonight? We just had salmon for dinner. Now I'm unwinding after a full day of work, grocery shopping, and cleaning. I had a weird day actually. I got my blood tested, did some work stuff, took a nap, and now I'm streaming. And then afterwards I'm gonna work out. So full day for me, for sure. Woo, up and active since 4:30, so I'm just fine, just melting into my chair and watching the stream. Yeah, I cleaned all the light fixtures. Okay, wow, yeah, that is a lot. For sure. People think, oh, housework, it's easy. Like, it's not even a job. But then you start listing out all the things you have to do as like actual housework, from the dusting and the polishing and the light fixtures and cleaning underneath the cabinets and the mopping and the sweeping and the like wet vacuuming and like just so much to do for house cleaning. Absolutely. Ooh, I'm on vacation a week from today and it can't come soon enough. Yeah. Well, you definitely deserve the vacation, and I hope that you get to enjoy it. And it's hard when you know a vacation's coming. I've been looking forward to this weekend all weekend and all week once I find out about it, because I am going to a gardening fair and I'm super excited about it. And that's my life currently. Not even a kink thing, just going to a gardening show. And I don't think we're going to get nice weather. I think originally the weather was supposed to be pretty nice this weekend, but I think it's going to be rainy again. So we have some 80s coming in the forecast. So I'm holding on for that. But tomorrow morning should be fun. Okay, I have a video that's coming out on Patreon. I just finished editing it today. And I think you all are going to like it. And Banditi basically does this exact thing in it in the corner of the video screen the whole time. The little stretched out. And she does her little stretch move where she's like, and she like puts her little paws out to the side like she's Supermaning, and it's really cute. But y'all were like that part of it. But also the video I'm doing for Patreon that I think you guys are really going to enjoy it was an idea that every once in a while I'll have this. Some ideas I'll kind of sit and I'll stew on them for a while, and I'd be like, I think I want to talk about this, but needs to percolate. But this idea was like, I know what I need to talk about, and I know how I'm going to do it, and this is just like the divine light of inspiration got beamed into my brain, and I made a video where I talk and give demonstrations of choking alternatives, because I started to think about how in the kink world, there's so much conversation around choking. Is it safe? Is it not safe? How to do it safely? And I feel like we never pause and have the conversation about, why do people like choking? Why are people into this? And for the record, I do not and I will not give advice on how to do like any sort of choking strangulation techniques in this live stream or in any other video, because it is very high risk. Just before anyone, I don't think anyone's going to ask, but just to make sure we're clear, I'm not going to tell anyone how to do that. But I think it's very interesting how we sort of skipped over having that conversation, at least with my experience, over why people like choking, because it seems very obvious. But when you stop and think about it, I think you can break down choking into, I don't want to spoil the video, but a couple of different, I'd say like 3 to 5-ish factors for broadly why people enjoy it, and then we can use that knowledge once we've sat and reflected and introspected about why we enjoy the thing. We can then take that knowledge and figure out how to do other things that are similar to choking to get to that same mindset and desired feeling without the same level of risk. And I think it's a really good video. I really enjoyed making it, and it'll probably be out next week-ish. I've got kind of a front-loaded Patreon schedule for this month, so I'm trying to space things out just to give a little seasoning throughout the whole month of stuff going on, because we got live streams there every Thursday. We have a video I just did talking about pickup play and going to events as a single person and Kink Fest. And what else have we done? We got a movie night this month. Well, lots of stuff going on over there. So yeah, we are going to be doing that soon. I have a poll up right now for doing a movie night. I think there's a pretty strong lead for which day it's going to be, but yeah, that's all on the schedule. It's all coming down the pipeline, so look out for that one. I'm really excited for the choking alternatives video. I think it's going to be I'm not going to say it's going to be a must watch, but if you're somebody who's been curious about breath control or choking or anything like that, but you maybe read about it a little bit, you're like, that seems like it's too dangerous for me, I don't really want to go there, we're gonna have lots of ideas. Like, it's literally basically a 30-minute long video of me giving scene ideas. So if you like my videos where I talk about scene ideas and like the how to do part of kink, this is going to give you a lot of tools to work with while also focusing on the emotional and the mental connection and the mentality you go into things with, as opposed to just like technically how to execute on something. So there you go. That's what we're doing. Introspection is something I did with all of my kinky interests. Discovering the why behind things is valuable information. Yes. I think the sooner people can learn how to introspect in their kink journey and in life, honestly, the more better. The more situations you're going to have, and the more scenes and partnerships you're going to have that really suit you, and that's awesome. My goal is to have a small town bar open in the evenings where I can just get out of the house and chat with a couple barflies. I mean, I love it. That's a great goal. That's a great one. Sounds like an amazing vid to look forward to. Yeah, and I originally intended it to be a YouTube video, but then I really started thinking about, well, but I want to show stuff and I want to do demonstrations a little bit, and like, I don't want to encourage people to do anything that's super dangerous because it's on YouTube, and so it's a lot easier to like have people see it that don't necessarily have a pre-existing skill set. And like, I just wanted something where I didn't have to worry about like talking about orgasms or saying swear words or anything. And so I was like, we'll just do a Patreon video, it'll be fine. So yeah, I've also been toying around with the idea, because I've seen Kat Black do this. I've been toying around with the idea of doing something for Patreon where it's like quick edited videos, where there's going to be still the longer pre-prepared, more edited sit-down style videos like I do on this channel. And then I also maybe want to do some kind of like quick, not really edited, sort of almost live stream format thing, where maybe I'm talking about something happening in pop culture or just general life stuff, or something that's really been on my mind that I've seen from the news or social media. I don't know if anyone would be interested in that, but it would be a good way to get more like consistent content out on like a regular basis. But I don't know. I always have ideas and I'm like, does anyone really want to see that? I don't know. I went on a spiral watching Secretary and 50 Shades yesterday. Dang, that was cringy. Okay, which one is cringier though? Secretary or 50 Shades? Like, what do you think they're the same? Like, I would love to know your thoughts about that. Because I think Secretary, like, though people love it in the kink scene, I do think there are some cringy elements to it. Even though everyone's, like, super horny for fucking what's his face? James Spader? Is that the guy? Is that the lead male actor in that? Something Spader, I think. I don't remember. I don't keep track of these things. I don't know. I know. She's very calm and soothing, and I love that about her. She's just like a natural... She's just like a cup of hot tea in dog form. She's like a nice, cozy blanket that got turned into a dog. Such an angel. I love her so much. Such an angel. All right, I have not answered a single question yet, so I should probably do that. Oh, goodness. Oh, 5 days in Tahoe. Was supposed to go to Yosemite, but there's a good chance the campground being flooded during my stay, so we switched. Yeah. Okay, I did not camping Yeah, absolutely. Well, that sounds like a good way to get off the grid for a little bit. Oh, a hotel with a 2-person jacuzzi in the room. Oh, that's fun. There was one time I was on a family road trip and we stayed at a motel somewhere around that part of the country where they had a 2-person jacuzzi in the hotel room and like in the motel room as well. Those are just like such a relic of a certain era, aren't they? It should be a good experience if you haven't been in one before. They're funny. Oh, you're going on a honeymoon to Japan. Oh, that sounds so exciting. Congratulations. Oh, we had it booked for summer of 2020 and then, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm glad you were able to rebook it. I hope it's everything you want it to be. If I am really, when I travel, I'm very much like a relaxation person. Like I like a little bit of adventure is nice. Like I like going to museums and gardens and things, but I don't go to like, I don't know, go mountaineering or hiking or spend all day. I don't even like, I don't know, going on tours places and waiting in line. Like I like going somewhere to relax and not be on the internet, not trying to have certain experiences. Like I just want to go and I want to sit in hot water somewhere. I want to be either by a pool or the ocean, ideally the ocean, or like a spa. I've heard really good things about like spas in Arizona or places in the Southwest and also like Japan and things, obviously. I really want to be, my ideal vacation would be somewhere like with sort of a private-ish resort, white sand beaches, private pool, and like a really nice spa somewhere on the inside, maybe like a sauna, a steam room or something. If I could find that, I would stay for at least a full week, if not a week and a half. And I would just be super content doing that. Some like, I don't know, somebody delivering me fresh cut fruit every morning, ideal. Somebody coming by in the evening with a little tiki drink, sure. Like, it sounds really basic, but when I thought about what I enjoy about vacations, it's pretty much like I like being around nature and in a calming environment, so like not in the city. And then I also like just calming relaxation stuff. No, I loved going to London. I loved traveling around the UK. I loved being in Amsterdam. Amsterdam was great, but I don't think I would like, I'd go back there, but there's like adventure vacation and like relaxation vacation. And I feel like what I really like when it's just me planning a vacation for myself, I really like just relaxing and just getting to unwind. Like Belize was my favorite vacation. I think London and Belize almost aren't even really comparable. And New Orleans as well. Like New Orleans was like pretty nice for what it was, but I just like warm weather. I like to chill, and that's me. I agree. Vacations are relaxation and shopping. Hubby knows more about Japan than me, to be honest. I'm going to be along for the ride. Well, I hope that you have a good time. Hopefully, you get a time maybe to visit an onsen and definitely do lots of shopping. Maybe if I was going to Japan, my things, and I haven't really researched this at all, I definitely would want to go. I'd want to do like a tea ceremony thing. I'd want to go get dressed up in like kimono or yukata, depending on like what the weather was like. I really love to go to like a summer festival. I love to go to an onsen or like go to a beach. Like if we're going to like southern Japan, like go to Okinawa or going to like one of the other islands or something, definitely go to the beach. And yeah, that would be my thing. Like Tokyo would be really cool, but I just feel like I'd be really overwhelmed in the city. I would like to take the train though. If I could take the train around everywhere, I would be happy as a clam. I love the train. It is the superior form of transportation. I have a not insignificant amount of travel memories that are based on being in a train. Good times. I've been on so many adventure vacations that lately I have been really enjoying staycations, spending time off relaxing at home. I feel like that works really well if you don't work from home, but like me, my relaxation space is also my office. Well, my garden's kind of turning into more of a relaxation space, so I'm trying to have it be more relaxing and joyful in like a separate space that's not about work. But yeah, it's hard when you're working from home to like not think about work all the time. Yeah, I wish there was a trigger warning. As someone with a history of self-harm, it was a strange watch. Yeah, I think that's my main gripe with the secretary too. Is there's some uncomfortable things in it, and like I think like if for the era it's in, it could definitely have been a lot worse. I don't broadly love the messaging of like, if you love someone enough, they will fix you of your mental health problems. I'm like, that's not how that works in reality. And I definitely think there are a lot of people that watch that movie and with the best intentions took away this idea that if you're domly enough, you can dom someone out of a mental illness or like anxiety or depression or like negative like coping mechanisms. And that's also not how that works. So yeah, that's like, I think that's the main thing I have an issue with really is that. But otherwise, I think it's like overall sort of a mildly cringy to pretty good movie. I spent 3 years in Okinawa. Absolutely gorgeous beaches. Yeah, I think my main experience from Okinawa is like I feel kind of weird about going there just because I know that they're not a fan of like Americans and like the American military base that's there, and I feel like I'm like, am I contributing to a problem by visiting here? Am I making this worse? Is this okay if I spend money? Like it would be a little bit weird I think for me to go, but if I could do it in a way where I knew it wasn't just like upsetting the locals, I would be okay. I want my adventures out of the way while I still have some youth and get more relaxing as I get older. Oh, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to get to a point where I wasn't able to do the adventure vacations and then regretted it because I, like, had some kind of limitation on that. Good to keep in mind. It was just really turned as a modern kinkster. Yeah, it's of the era for sure. And I'd love it. You know, 50 Shades of Grey, when that last movie come out, I don't know why, I don't remember. It seems like it was both a long time ago, but also super recent. Because the first movie was, I want to say, that one was 2015. I think the last one was probably 2017 or 2018. Yeah, 50 Shades Freed, which that's the last one, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I don't know why I was thinking that they split it into two parts for some reason. Like, there's not enough plot to even make it barely one whole movie, let alone two. But they would have tried. You know, that came out in February of 2018. So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So that's like, it's pretty recent, but, you know, it's 2013 now with the time it takes to make a movie and also a writer strike's happening, and there might be also be a director from a strike from the Directors Guild, and you know, so if you get started on a script now, go through shopping it around pre-production, we could probably have our 2020's better version of Secretary or 50 Shades of Grey, like probably before the 10th anniversary of the first movie coming out, which is wild to think about that in 2 years it will be the 10th anniversary of the first 50 Shades of Grey movie coming out. How has it been that long? Because it's been 10 years since the first book was published. Which is, James, we had to worry about her doing something new. Is she doing anything? I feel like I remember seeing something on her website when I reviewed the last book that she did. Ah, here we go. Yeah, Freed, 50 Shades Freed as told by Christian. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I read that. I thought there was something else she was working on. I don't know. Because she had another series that was like The Mister or whatever. She had some kind of preview. Yeah. The Misses. Yes. Okay, so I guess she... Oh, yeah. She's publishing the second of her new, like, it's something about like fucking some like Eastern European maid or whatever. Like, it's like one of those like, oh, Eastern European maid gets picked up by like some rich British guy, and we're not gonna think about the power implications of this at all. Yeah, that's coming out like in June this year apparently. So look forward to reviews of that. I thought there was something, I feel like I remember seeing something maybe on like a blog or a website or something that was like a sample. Oh yeah, here we go. This is what it is. It was a Freed, 50 Shades Freed as told by Christian. Yeah, okay, that's what I read on the website. It was the first chapter rewritten like preview from that book before it came out. That's what I saw. Okay, so never fear. We are not getting any new 50 Shades of Grey installations. She seemingly, although I find it interesting that she wouldn't try to go back to that well of like writing more about those two characters, but I guess she did kind of give them like the happy ending with the baby and the marriage and everything. And so maybe in the romance world, it's sort of like it's done and dusted, and now she's moving on to the new thing. Yeah, it's weird. It would be better to have the lusty Argonian maid from Skyrim be turned into a movie. Yes, Sarah. Yes, it would be. I would vote for that so hard. Oh gosh, that would be something, wouldn't it? Glad I was still in middle/high school when those came out, so I didn't have to bother watching them at all. Yeah, it came out, the first book was published the year I graduated from high school. And so I was right in that demographic of like, I was aware enough about, my dog's stretching. He's so cute, so pretty little girl. What was I saying? Like, yeah, it came out right as I was graduating. And so it was, talk about it was all over the place my first 2 years, especially being in college. Like, my roommates were talking about it. There were news articles. Like, everyone knew about it. Everyone was talking about it. And I had a roommate that was very into what was called sporking at the time on LiveJournal, which was basically where you, like, imagine if you had CinemaSins for reading books chapter by chapter. And that's essentially what it was, where you would read every chapter of a book and then tear it down into the tiniest, most microscopic pieces. And I think that's valid and entertaining, and I think in some ways it can go too far into kink shaming territory a little too easily. Like, okay, whoa, we can say it's a bad book or poorly written, or maybe there's elements in these characters that it's maybe not great to romanticize on like a broad social level as like being some kind of romantic ideal. Like, we can have those conversations, but let's not, I don't know, shame middle-aged women for having a sex drive, or shame women for having fantasies outside of their husbands, or for wanting to try being in a power exchange relationship, or wanting to be submissive, or whatever. Like, there's sort of like, oh, this plot is completely janky and they left this like unfinished third wheel love triangle thing, that's weird. And then there's like, oh my god, it's so gross that anyone would even want to even think about being submissive. E.L. James is so ugly and gross, and how dare she write something like this? This is clearly wish film, blah 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 blah. It's like, all right, let's separate out what's worth criticism and what's not, you know? Yeah, I forgot about the term sporking. Yeah, I was not really on LiveJournal, so I don't really know a ton about that. I kind of just went away, I guess. Like, I'm kind of surprised that Tumblr didn't pick up the mantle for that, but YouTube, I think, and Book Talk these days it's all about the Book Talk, folks. That's what I've heard. Not that I'm on TikTok, but I have heard a thing or two. Ironically, I'm not one for drama unless it piques my interest. I used to write fanfic, blast from the past. I mean, I think that fan fiction's like perfectly acceptable. I think it's a great way to explore certain ideas and concepts and fantasies that you can't necessarily do in real life. I think it's very natural and normal for people to be into that and want to do that. Like, it's just silly. People, like, the shame around it is sort of interesting. I guess my toxic opinion is I love the 50 Shades movies, LOL, but I acknowledge it's creepy and inaccurate. I mean, like, everyone has a problematic fave, and this is what I want people to recognize when they critique 50 Shades of Grey or any media like this, is like there are people who love the Transformers movies, or I don't know enough movies to really give great examples about this, but like, everyone has their own garbage, okay? Whether it's books or movies or musical artists or whoever or whatever it is, or video games even. Like, we all have our own trash. We all have things that we enjoy that we recognize as like not being great. And I think it's perfectly fine to enjoy and watch these movies and these pieces of media and enjoy them for what they are, which is knowing that they're like an inaccurate representation, and it's a popcorn movie, and like, the soundtrack is fucking fire, right? Like, they spent a lot of money on the soundtrack for these movies. They have a lot of good original music in them. Like, especially the first movie, the director really tried to take the source material and make it something better than it was just as written. Like, there's a lot of care, I think, put into the movies, like, more than you would expect. And like, I can see why people enjoy them. Like, as long as you know that they're not trying to accurately portray BDSM, you know, like, fucking enjoy your trash, right? Like, if people can enjoy their trashy fan fiction and their movies and their soap operas and their you know, paperback erotica novels. Like if people are allowed to like things like Outlander without being critiqued, then people are allowed to like 50 Shades of Grey, all right? Jersey Shore and Love is Blind, LMAO. Yeah, Jersey, that was more like middle school, I guess, for me. But yeah, that was definitely around. Anime and video game yaoi fanfics were my first exposure to kink and BDSM. That makes sense. That's probably, yep, that's where the real, everyone's like, oh my god, 50 Shades of Grey, it's corrupting the youth. And I'm like, there were fucking, does anyone remember those like quiz websites? Wait, let me drink some water first. The quiz shows. Not the quiz shows, sorry, I was reading a comment about Netflix. Like the Quizlets. Or like the Quizillas, quesadillas, what the fuck were they called? Quizillas or whatever, where like you take a quiz and then like after you took the quiz, it would give you a little short story about like what's that like spin the bottle or whatever with an anime character or something, like would pair you with an anime character based off of whatever your favorite color was, or like pick a number, like so ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember those quizzes. Quizilla Baby still a favorite? I mean, those were still around. Those are around for, that was like all over, that was like Facebook and stuff. I don't even remember where I found those originally, but they were a hot thing. And I don't know, like where are the kids getting their little quizzes that I think for a lot of people, like, I mean, if you're not interested in looking at the pornography or other such things on the internet, like I think for a lot of people, like if you don't know what fan fiction is yet, like I think things like that probably lead you in the direction of fan fiction, and then you have a whole lifelong interest in reading about romantic pairings in your various medias. We used to have to do those in school. The Mary Sue test. Oh, I don't remember. The name is familiar. Like I know what a Mary Sue is, but I don't remember like a test about that. Those quiz websites were my life. I was a big MSI fan too back in middle school and like 2 years of high school. Yeah. Anyways, just blast from the past. Love it. Great stuff. Quizilla and the like was a favorite pastime of mine for years. Yeah, and then I guess, I don't know, people just got tired with them, or like what happened with that. I think we mostly moved on to like Instagram and, I mean, I guess Twitter maybe a little bit. I think there were some things that used to be more supported on Facebook that when they changed maybe Facebook's layout or the focus of Facebook, those things started to fall away just because they weren't as a big an element on the platform, but I don't know. Oh, it was mainly for fic writers to see if your OC was a Mary Sue. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's the worst thing you can do as a writer. Is have a Mary Sue. Oh my god. And then I feel like there's sort of a secondary Mary Sue that got created out of not trying to be a Mary Sue. Like you have the regular type of character that's maybe a Mary Sue, and then you have the anti-Mary Sue, which is just sort of a different Mary Sue. Like, does that make sense? Is that like, you guys can see that, right? Of like, you can have a character that tries so hard to not be a Mary Sue that they become their own secondary type of Mary Sue in their effort to be so different, you know? Yeah, also when moral guardians complain about racy content corrupting the youth, newsflash Karen, porn and spicy media has existed in all times and cultures. I mean, yeah, woodblock prints, the invention of photography, cave paintings, Renaissance paintings. Yeah, no, we've always been down and dirty. People love it. I mean, you make a joke about being a part-time media / fanfiction consultant, but I get more emails than you might expect from people that are like, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I want to write a BDSM erotica novel. What are your rates for being a consultant?" And then I pretty much never take it because either I never hear back or like they don't actually really want to pay me to be a consultant. But many people are interested. They are. It is a thing. An Auntie Sue? Yeah, the Auntie Sue. Oh, yes. I made so many Auntie Sues. I mean, out of the frying pan into the fire, right? All right, never try a fish spa. Okay, got it. Never underestimate human horniness. That is true. Yep. Definitely want to not underestimate the horniness. All right, guys. Okay, can I answer a question before we're an hour into this live stream? It's looking a little doubtful, I gotta be honest. Ooh, I still remember my cruise in January, February of 2020. Everyone making coronavirus jokes, not even the slightest bit aware that the world would completely shut down in 6 weeks. Yeah, I was in France for New Year's that year. I was in for December 2019 into January 2020. I was in Europe. I was in France, and I'm so glad that I went when I did, because otherwise I would not have had that opportunity. And I'm glad that I got to go. Okay, one just went ... and then I don't think I saw the second part of the question, but I'll look for it. I have 2 questions. The first one is, what are your thoughts on combining kink and psychedelics? And the other one is, and then it just trails off and edges me without actually asking another question. So I will give my typical spiel on using substances with kink and mixing sex and kink and substances and all that stuff together. Is I'm not a teetotaler. I'm not, like, personally anyone who's, like, I don't know, what's the word? Not an edgelord. I'm not straight edge about it. I'm not, like, I don't really do that personally for myself. It's not something I do on a regular basis by any means. And, like, I've been around people that are into that. I think the main issue that can arise from drinking or doing any kind of intoxicating substances around kink is consent. Consent is always the most complicated thing. And I find that the most dangerous or prone to danger scenarios are large events where almost everyone is drunk and you're drunk and strangers are drunk, or a bunch of people are all together, like, imbibing on things together and getting high and or drunk or whatever, under the influence of whatever various substances. And you're mixing strangers, crowded group events, and intoxicating substances all together. I think that tends to be what causes the most issues, is when you're seeing that happen, because then consent and boundaries get very blurred very easily. Like, if you have people over here that are doing ecstasy and then people over here that are drunk, like, it's communications are more difficult, respecting boundaries are more difficult. Like, it's a really very, very prone to unwanted touching and other things happening. And that's when I've experienced negative things involving combining substances and BDSM, is when I've been in public places, even when I've been sober. If people around me aren't sober, I have noticed that people are much more prone to breaking boundaries, not considering them, even to the point of breaking the rules of the event space in order to be able to touch or do inappropriate things to me or to other people. But I think there are ways to do things involving substances and BDSM together that is more responsible, and I think less likely to cause issues. Now, this is just me, and everyone's going to be different, okay? So, like, if you have a different personal philosophy about this, the main thing is to make sure that you and your partner are on the same page about whatever your personal philosophy is. It doesn't have to be mine, but it has to be something, and you have to know what it is first. Because my only line always, with communication, with consent, with all of that, you are allowed to think differently than me. Just make sure that you and your partner on the same page about what method you want to go with. But I think that if you have a partner and you're interested in combining substances or being under the influence and you want to try kink at the same time, I generally think it's best to, one, communicate about it well in advance, right? Like, all right, next weekend, let's plan to do this thing together, and then I want to do this type of scene. I also recommend being in a relationship when you're doing this where there is a level of trust already established, both with kink and with the substances. So maybe previously you've done kink scenes together, they've gone really great, safe words have gone well, aftercare has gone well, communication's always gone really well, you understand each other's tells a little bit, you have no problem communicating, you feel respected and safe, and you have trust in that relationship. And then with substances, you understand how they handle whatever substance you're going to be under the influence of. You talked about it, even if you haven't seen them in that vein or you haven't been drunk or whatever together, you've talked about it. They know what to expect from your behavior and vice versa. and then in some kind of safe, neutral place, you end up doing the thing you want to do together. In advance, you talk about what it is you want to do, right? Like that could be what do people typically do? See, the thing is like I don't really feel that most substances like really enhance kink, because kink is already depending on. And I'm also saying like I'm saying to the point, not of just like, oh, like we're at a munch and we have one drink, you know, we're sipping a little fruity sipping a fruity beverage together at a munch, and then we go home and do a spanking, and like, you know, like you would be fine driving. Like if you can operate a motor vehicle, it's like, or would be safe doing so without being over the legal limit, like you would probably be okay to do kink with like a known trusted person. Because there's a difference between like in general in the relationship we've negotiated something where we agree it's okay to either negotiate while under the influence or negotiate before being under the influence and then playing after being under the influence. Like you can negotiate pretty much all this different stuff in advance if you decide you want to do that in your relationship. I wouldn't advise negotiating about it in the moment for the same reason I don't advise negotiating about it like in the middle of a scene, because like when you are doing a scene and you're experiencing those really intense chemical reactions in your brain, you are basically producing natural drugs for your brain that alters your decision-making abilities and your capacity to say no or say yes to certain things or behaviors. And I think it's really important when you're playing with new things and new people, new spaces, new ideas, that you're minimizing the risk that you are going to be doing something that you could feel regret over later or would be actually harmful. And so that's why I advise being really cautious and working up to these things slowly, because like if your number one kink in the world is to, I don't know, fucking take a bunch of mushrooms and then do a spanking or something, like you can work up to that. Like why, like I almost wonder like why would you want to rush into doing that? I feel like that would make it more difficult to like have a good scene doing that if you're rushing into it right away without kind of knowing each of the constituent parts together, you know? Like, I also wouldn't advocate for somebody to do like a break-in CNC scene unless they had practiced like doing bondage together and doing knife play and like doing all those other things they want to include as part of that scene, like in some way, or talked about it before, taken classes about it before, having some level of demonstration of like we know how each one of these things affects us mentally, if we like it, if we don't like it, that kind of thing. Yeah, so like while you're doing BDSM, your brain's already making all these chemicals for you already. And so I feel like, okay, we're already playing around with chemicals, and some of the research I've done on this, that we don't really have like a lot of like brain scan data about this, as it turns out. A lot of the data we do have about it, it seems to be comparable to like MDMA. Like it seems to be comparable to like that kind of class of chemicals and intoxicants. So if you're familiar with that, you can kind of gauge off of that. And so mixing other substances with that, it's, you're playing with a lot. And I think a lot of, depending on what you're playing with, I think you can actually like detract from the kink experience. Like I really like, I can understand maybe like a CNC scene involving alcohol. But I think for most things like bondage or impact play, being like drunk, not just like, ooh, a little bit loosened up because we shared a fruity beverage, during the social hour. Like there's, having a very light amount of alcohol, you can handle. And then like being just like completely actually drunk. I think being completely drunk, being 3-4 plus drinks in and then doing a scene, for my intuition and experience, I feel like that just like there's nausea and vomiting and you get distracted and you get really sleepy. And I just feel like it doesn't make the parts of BDSM that feel good better. And I think I don't know, I just feel like it's a very distracting experience. It doesn't actually improve it, but that's me, right? And I'm not everyone's kink experience. I don't know what everyone is possibly going to feel about whatever, and neither does Bandita. You have little Grinch feet right now, don't you? You need to get your paws trimmed, because you got little Grinch feet. And you have little long furs around your little feetsies. Anyways, Yeah, so I feel, did I cover everything I wanted to say about that? I feel like I basically covered what I wanted to say about taking substances and kink and like combining those things. Yeah, I feel like maybe certain things could probably enhance it, but I don't like personally take psychedelics, so I can't really say how that would affect your experience. I do know some people that like they like, you know, I've dated people that have been really into psychedelics before, and I never did it with them, but they seem to enjoy it and have a good time with it in Minecraft, obviously, only in Minecraft ever. Only doing it with Minecraft roleplay. And yeah.
Mr. Beansman donated $5.
Oh, thank you.
Hi Evie, love your new video.
Oh,
it's
thank you.
I've been thinking about a lot lately. Any advice for me as top when it comes to being able to explore the emotional side of a scene with my partner?
Oh, great question. Okay, so loved the latest video, and you want to know more about advice when it comes to being able to explore the emotional side of a scene with your partner as a top. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this one up, and then we'll answer this one. So yeah, I don't know, psychedelics specifically I can't really speak to. I know some people it's like a very sexy, touchy-feely experience to take psychedelics, but for other people it's like, I'm gonna stare at this painting for 6 hours and think about falling into it like I'm in Blue's Clues. So I can't really say about how that would affect the BDSM scene. I can see it both being a negative or a positive, but yeah. I've never been high, but I feel like pure subspace has got to be close, all floaty and tingly. Yeah, I feel like, again, I can't really speak to that too much either, but like subspace is definitely its own high. Because, I mean, it's like the same constituent chemicals in your brain, essentially. But instead of them coming from an outside source, you're producing them with your own brain because of, you know, the things you're doing. Mm-hmm. It's all chemicals. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it really is all just chemicals. Okay. So, love the question. Let's talk about topping and connecting emotionally in a scene with a partner as a top. This is very difficult to explain with words. I feel like if I had a better background, or any background actually, in acting or theater, I might be able to give better advice. I feel like it's connected to that somehow. I can't explain why I think it's connected, but I think it is. I think when you're trying to emotionally connect with someone in a scene, I think this is actually something you can use negotiation for as a tool, is being able to connect more, because I think the nugget that all connection is based on is vulnerability and trust. And I think negotiation gives you a space to start opening up that little nugget of vulnerability and trust, of saying like, this is why I'm here. This is why I want to play with you. This is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. This is how I want to feel. And opening up that vulnerability and allowing that person to see that, and also you see their vulnerability, is the start of the ability to connect emotionally with that person. So first of all, you got to be open and vulnerable about feelings to even begin with, because if you go into a scene as a top and you haven't disclosed like what you get out of emotionally, how you want to feel, like you're going to have more trouble emotionally connecting with the partner, because it's like, I think you can be very emotionally connected and also have a power imbalance during the scene, but you can't have informational asymmetry with regards to the emotions you want to experience during the scene. Because otherwise, I think it's very easy to get into the mentality of like, I'm doing this thing to you and you are experiencing it and you're not experiencing anything back as the top. And then that, like, there's room for that, right? There's room for that kind of like stone wall dom scene where like you're at least acting like you're not being emotionally affected by what you're doing and what's going on. You're just like delivering a punishment, like some kind of, I don't know, prison warden from the 15th century. I don't know. So I think number one is you got to open up and start being vulnerable even during the negotiation process. And then when you're doing the scene, I think, and I feel like I've talked about this on stream before, but it's worth repeating. I think some of the key tools I found that really help me emotionally connect with people during a scene is shared breathing. So you can do this a couple of different ways. Like you can have them sit on your lap and you can like breathe together, and then like your chest is like, if you're the lead breather, like your chest is like against their back, and then you're just telling them to like follow your breath, and then obviously when your chest is rising, it's pushing against their back, and then they'll like sync with your breathing. You can have them put a hand on your chest and you put a hand on their chest, or like they're, I don't know, like somewhere that feels comfortable. Not like, don't grab a boob or whatever, but you know what I mean, right? Like just like up here, and then sharing a breath that way. You can do it with your foreheads touching, and then sharing breath through like open mouth and nose breathing too. But there's lots of methods for this. Just having shared breathing. I'll even do this, like, not even necessarily, like, saying I'm doing this with partners. Like, if I notice that they're feeling really anxious, or we're trying to connect even during, like, non-kink interactions and we're breathing together, I'll try to, like, lead breathe with them and help them sync their breath. But I think that's a good way to do it, because it also helps shift you into scene mindset, too, when you're doing it consciously of, like, okay, we're here together, we're now in this moment. And the idea behind it is, one, you're syncing up together and feeling each other's breath and how you're breathing, but also it's a way to sort of do a little bit of like a quick brain cleansing meditation and getting ready to be in that scene space, versus thinking about like how warm the venue is, or how work was that week, or what you're nervous about, and just be present in there in the moment. And then I think after breathing, and then maybe getting more into actually when you're doing the scene, I think eye contact is really important and really, really powerful. I don't know if anyone else besides me has a similar reaction to having that. Oh my gosh, Blue's Clues. Why are we talking about Blue's Clues? What is the chat on about right now? Why are we talking about Blue's Clues? I do love Blue's Clues though. It's a good one. That was one of the best kid shows. Also, Bluey, I suppose. That's one of the new Australian ones, right? Kids are into that these days. But, why? Oh, always had something against magenta? Yeah, I know. I don't know why. People were, like, hating on magenta for some reason. Also, people think that Blue is a boy dog. And Blue and magenta, I mean, was it lesbian representation? Was that lesbian indoctrination? To have Blue and magenta, the dog, be friends? I don't know. Oh, yes, they went into the paintings, right? That's why I was talking about the being, like, the psychedelics and then wanting to go into the painting. That's what it was. Sorry, that was my fault. Never a bad time to talk about Blue's Clues. Yep. Anyways, so getting more into the scene and wanting to emotionally connect with the partner during the scene itself and creating that space. I think making eye contact is a really powerful tool to use. You can do a scene where the whole point of it is to maintain really strong eye contact the entire time, but just like accents of really strong eye contact, of like very intentional, like, especially if you're doing something to the front of the person's body, like you're putting a collar on them, you're slapping them in the face, you're, I don't know, punching them in the chest, putting on nipple clamps, sensation play over the stomach, whatever. Those can all be good times to like take that moment of like really intense, very purposeful eye contact when you are doing a scene and you are talking. Actually, let's go back to negotiation for a second, because I didn't mention this and I should. When you're doing negotiations and you're talking about your feelings and like what you want to get out of a scene, don't skip over that. Like, if you don't know what to emotionally connect over, it's going to be difficult to actually navigate that during the scene itself. So, like, talk about, yes, like, I want to do a bondage scene and wear a blindfold and do this, like, the actual, like, you know, the performative actions of the scene itself. But then also talk about, as the top, I'm hoping for a scene where I feel XYZ thing. Like, what do you want to feel during the scene? And hopefully your partner can also tell you how, they want to feel, and then you can build off of that. So make sure you're talking about the feelings, okay? And being very specific if you can about, like, do you want to feel in charge? Do you want to feel like a bully? Do you want to feel like a benevolent caretaker? Do you want to feel like a medieval lord and they're a peasant? Like, whatever you want to do, make sure you're being very clear about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, magenta was a boy, but I've also sort of always read magenta as like a he and lesbian. I don't know. Like, So in my mind, in my headcanon, magenta is a he him lesbian. That's my headcanon. Magenta was transcoded. It's like, imagine if Blue's Clues came out now. Ben Shapiro would have a conniption. Ben Shapiro would be like, they're transing the youth, they're making the blue one a girl and the pink one a boy, and this is, they're transing everyone. This is just freak out about it. A bigger scandal than Tinky Winky? True. Is a switch to perceive gender norms? I know. It's just like, but they're dogs. Like, dogs don't, like... People always think that, like, my dog's a boy. Or they used to, at least. They used to, they're like, oh, he's so cute. Because she's, like, kind of, I guess, a boyish color. But I feel she has a very feminine personality. So I don't, like... People are just like that. They had gay frogs in the background of a Blue's Clues episode recently. Oh, that's funny. Okay, let me see. I want to make sure, do I feel like I answered that question all the way about emotional connection during a scene? I think my other piece of advice would be to just, like, go slowly. I think a lot of times during scenes, especially as a newer top, people tend to rush a lot. They tend to, like, either try to go too hard too quickly early on in the scene. And also, sorry, I have hiccups right now, so I'm trying to fix that. But I think if you're in a scene and you can learn to pace yourself and not just rush through everything, and people get very worried, I think, as tops about, like, boring their partner, or they can at least, about, like, oh, it's not going to be good enough, I'm not playing hard enough, I'm not going to keep them entertained. And I think that not enough tops take advantage of pausing and being calm during a scene and letting those moments of anticipation build up. And I think that taking advantage of those can be a really good way to just take a moment, pause, check in, and then have some breathing together, have some eye contact together, have just, like, a shared space and a moment, and then, like, continuing the energy after that. So, like, the pauses and the accents, don't be afraid to use those, because those pauses and those sort of breaks in the rhythm and breaking up the scene space a little bit can be very beneficial. Yep, fun fact, pink was the masculine color and blue the feminine until the pink triangles came out under the no Germans. That's a creative way of referring to them, yes. I was aware of that. That is a good point to bring up, though. We went from BDSM to Blue's Clues, what a night. I mean, alphabetical order, they are pretty close, subject-wise. Grooming, too much woke. I mean, talk about dog grooming, am I right? Dog grooming. The jokes write themselves, people. Put up what? I'm a fucking better stand-up comedian than these people are. That's for gall dang sure. I mean, really, was anyone surprised when it came out that Steven Crowder was basically doing a Louis C.K. to his staff members? Like, I just feel like now... Okay, sorry, we're going to side tangent into this for a second, because now we're talking about the media and shit. So, okay, 5-minute fucking timeout, 5-minute pause to rant about the dreaded politics of things for a second. So, Steven Crowder, I may make a video about him, but also Cat Black, and I believe... Oh my god, why can't I remember her name? Rachel Oates. I was like, I love Rachel. Why did I forget Rachel for a second? So Rachel Oates came out with a video today I haven't gotten to watch yet, also about Steven Crowder. And I kind of want to make a video about it, but turns out, conservative commentator, massive piece of shit, yelled at his wife a lot, was also very terrible to employees. And it also turned out, liked showing his penis to his employees, which is just like... it's always projection with these people. Like, they just accuse everyone else of doing everything that they're doing. There's fucking moral panics about, people going into bathrooms and, like, men pretending to be women to show their penises in the bathroom. And it's like, oh, it's because you're doing that to your employee. That's what's happening. You're the one who cross-dresses because it's funny on set for videos to make fun of the woke people, and then you go and you show your genitals to your employees, and then you're just like, yeah, this is a thing I can do because I'm an authority and I have power, and oh, it's just exhausting. Like, now I'm just so critical. Now whenever I hear a story of somebody that does one of these things, I'm like, oh, it's a matter of time before we hear about all the other things. Because it's never in isolation. Yeah, Rachel Oates put out one today, but guess which narrative gets platformed? Mm-hmm, yep. One leg equal one rim shot. Thank you. I don't know why they like. I mean, I guess we could theorize about why they want to show off their genitals. I think part of it, at least in Steven Crowder's case, he's always very proud about, like, I was a virgin until marriage. I did things. I got married the right way. I was a virgin until I got married. And so I think there's probably a little bit of, like, repressed sexuality in there. And I think, obviously, one of the ways that fetishes develop, we'll tie this back into BDSM briefly for a moment, is taboo. There's a huge link between things being socially taboo and becoming a fetish. So if your culture, something is very taboo and risque and forbidden and hidden, it is much more likely that you will develop a fetish around it as a way to, like, mentally cope with it. So I think it's entirely possible that, I'm not saying he has a fetish, but I think it's possible for people that grow up in a similar environment of, like, extreme sexual repression, of, like, the only proper way to have sex or express sexuality is through one person that you marry for all time and forever into heaven. Like, they beyond, like, for eternity you are with this one person. I feel like that probably can cause certain people to be prone to outlandish sexual behaviors as a way of, like, acting out because of how unable to express things in any kind of other proper, healthier way they are, because it's all sinful. The problem is it makes everything sinful. It's all, like, equally sinful, right? Exposing your genitals non-consensually to employees is as much, if probably even a lesser sin, than engaging in, like, consensual experiences with other adults, or as a teenager with other teenagers. Like, it's all the same, and so it's like it's all equally bad. And so it, like, the idea almost in their heads probably is something to the effect of, well, at least, like, when I'm doing this, I'm in control of it. I'm not being seduced by the devil, like the woman wearing a I don't even know, like, how they, I don't know what the mentality is, but I feel like they have some kind of weird justification where, because it's happening in these, like, singular moments of weakness where no penetration is happening, that's somehow less of a sin than if you just had consensual sex as an adult with another adult. Like, I feel like that must be how they, like, there's something in there about that. Yeah, retired a dancer here. It's truth about religious people being extremely repressed. Yeah. Narcissists confess how they think when they accuse. It's also true. Yeah. Maybe this is my age talking, but I don't think either sex's genitals are that attractive. I mean, I've had this explained to me before, and I genuinely don't get it. If people are like, oh, well, it's so hot because look at this and this. And I'm like, I don't see any of that. Like, it's just a weird, freaky alien thing to me. I don't, like, I'm not actively disgusted by it generally, unless I really think about it, and I can get into a mindset where it's pretty repulsive. But it's not, like, a bonus either. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not ace in any way, but I agree they're simply tools to get the work done. That's a good way of phrasing it. Yeah, I don't know. Steven Crowder's like, I don't know, I'm just suspicious now whenever I see people that are, like, one news story comes out about them, like, being mean to their wife or doing something with a coworker or an employee, and I'm like, all right, where's the... Now it's never one thing. It's never like, oh, they just quarantine their bad behavior to only be in the office or only be at home. Like, it's all right, what they do with their family, what they do with their wife, what they do with their employees and fans. Like, we're gonna start, next thing on the drip feed's gonna be like, Steven Crowder fucking took his dick out during a fan meetup. Like, there's a video I saw. Okay, I can actually pull this up. I do start hearing genitals. Well, hopefully you're not hearing genitals, but there is something I do want to pull up because I don't even know where this is. Well, okay, maybe the moment's been lost here. Oh no, there it is. Okay, wait. I don't know if there's sound on this. Okay, wait. I'm going to fucking. Okay, I hate this. Okay, so there is a video of Steven Crowder. I don't know what this is from, but it involves a cowboy and cow role play, and it is one of the most homosexual things I think that he's probably done, and I don't know how to process this, and it like offends me. So I don't know how to like I guess will it play in a loop if I just play it? Okay, no, it'll just play in a loop. Okay, that's fine. We'll just play it on a loop. Try to get to, there's not really a beginning or an end to this, I suppose. But like, this is Steven Crowder behind the scenes. Right? Look at this. He's fucking, I think that's like the worst flogging I've ever seen in my life, right? But it's like, doing this to an employee is part of it. Like, I don't know what this is from or why this happened or anything else about it, but there he is, just flogging one of his employees while dressed up as a cowboy, and then it's, yeah, this is a family-friendly show, is it, Steven? I don't, like, how is your show, like, he's literally... Oh wait, I didn't even, he's fucking, is he wearing like a bulldog harness? Okay, oh my, he's fucking doing the, God, I hate this. He's, okay, I don't know how to like show just a frame of this. You guys are gonna have to take my fucking word. Oh no, wait, I found it. Okay, wait, okay, zoom and enhance. Okay, you guys are gonna, he's doing the thing that people do when they don't know how to wear a harness, or how to get one fitted, which is, lots of safe words talked about this before. Doing the thing where the metal circles that like connect the leather pieces together. I don't know why it's focusing on my fingers, not on the thing. Like you guys can kind of see it, I think, where like it's going directly over his nipple, and like that's not. They're not nipple accessories, dude. They're supposed to be up here, like below. It's supposed to go like not across your boob. It's supposed to sit up here, not down here. So I guess he technically has on a bulldog harness, but he's wearing it like a fucking tool. Like, yeah, he does have a bulldog harness. Can we kink shame him? I'm just fashion shaming him. Because he doesn't know how to wear a harness properly. And it makes me upset. And also, he's wearing like fake leather pants. He's wearing fucking sneakers. I'm sorry. Get out of here with the fucking sneakers, dude. We don't need to see your fucking Skechers. Like, if you're gonna commit to the bit, dude. Get some leather, like, police surplus fucking boots at least, or something. Military surplus even. You know how to don't Skechers Airwalks or whatever. I know, Bandita is so serene. Amazing how these people have never seen the Gladiator movie. The harness doesn't go right over your nipples. I feel like this is the same phenomena as the people who wear masks underneath their nose. Like, you know, you've seen this so many times. How do you not, like, know how to wear this properly by now? How can that possibly feel like it's correct? It just gets me. Sissification is Crowder's real kink, though. I mean, why pick just one, you know? I feel like this is him desperately trying to prove that he's not a bottom. The energy I get from this is bottom trying to prove that he's not a bottom. Not that I think Steven Crowder's actually homosexual. I don't think Steven Crowder is for the girls or the gays. I think that he is a brutally repressed, sad, mean little man, and I think he enjoys acting out his hurt on other people. And I don't actually think, I know a lot of people like to joke that he's just closeted or whatever. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't fucking know. I hope he's not, because that'd be terrible. Like, imagine having a man like Steven Crowder at your local gay bar. I don't think, no, thank you. If this is a manifestation of like his repression over the course of his entire life, like, that's shitty. But also, I don't think that he's actually gay. I just think that he hates gay people so much that he kind of eroticizes them, which is not entirely uncommon. You can tell by how light and slappy the flogging was, a crime against tops everywhere. He said he's bi though. True. I do think he did joke before about having a brief bisexual phase. And I would believe that. We can say that because he said that in his own words, that he had a bisexual phase that reared its ugly head. And I don't like, because that's what people think. Oh, well, if you're bisexual and you're a woman, you're just straight but don't want to admit it yet. And if you're bisexual and a man, you're just gay and you haven't admitted it yet. So, like, okay, let's just say, if we're going to say anything, we can say that Steven Crowder is possibly bisexual. But I don't want to, I will not engage in the social tendencies of gay, bisexual male erasure. How about that? You are a sad, strange little man. Yes, exactly as Buzz Lightyear would say. Yeah, he did say he had a bi phase. Sissy / femboys not being fascist challenge impossible. There's something about it. Fucking, they're like furries have a misogyny problem, and sissies have a fascism problem, and I don't know why. Like, what's going on there? You know, what's happening? He talked about bisexuality, but I don't know where he's at with that, or if he was joking, not joking. I mean, I think the general interpretation is he's brought it up enough to where either it could be a running gag, or it's like his secret shame that he jokes about to cope with. I think that's probably, I think that there is an argument to be made for the latter being a possibility there, of like, it's a little bit, he's felt attracted to a man before. Or maybe he's even just been attracted to a trans woman and he thinks that makes him a little gay. Like, maybe he just thought, one time I was at the grocery store and I saw a woman from behind and I thought she had a great ass. And then she turned around and I saw she had an Adam's apple and I freaked out and I thought, God damn it, I don't want to be gay. And then that just changed the whole course of his life. Like one time he was attracted to a trans woman and he thought, I'm not gay. And then he just spent the rest of his entire life projecting that problem onto other people. As a furry, I'll be the first to admit we have many problems. Well, I know lots of furries that are good people that are trying to make the community better, but I think, as is so often the case with the online section of communities, people, there's a very vocal minority that makes it maybe not as great of a place for everyone else. Yes, I mean, true. I love the Aphrodite origin story, which is there's a lot of genital mutilation in Greek mythology for some reason. But yeah, it's a good one. Furries have a misogyny problem. I'm not involved enough in the furry community to say this with any kind of authority, but my understanding is that the furry community, especially online, is very dominated by gay men, and they don't like seeing women in their spaces, and they especially don't like it when somebody's OC that used to be like masculine coded ends up becoming feminine coded and has boobies, and they don't like it. They're like, it looked better when you didn't have boobs. Like, they get upset about having to see like technically feminine body parts in there. Oh no, wait, I want to show her. Oh, look at you, you're like a little lion. Look at you. So perfect. Bandita, what are you doing? Are you gonna lay down? Are you just gonna stand there and stare at me? Oh, it looks like we could lay down. Oh no, we're gonna do a little scratchy. Do a little scratchy. Here we go. Good girl. Have to keep constant updates on the Bandita movements. It's surprising how freaked out men can get about finding a trans woman attractive. Like, they watch a Saren Toon video, really like her, and then lose it completely and find out more. I know, it's just like, I'm just too asexual for all this, really, maybe. I just, like, I can't understand, like, being that freaked out about it. I'm like, why does it matter so much? Like, you're attracted to, like, the feminine part. Like, you like the fact that they're the womanly. You like the, how is that, like, what? Like, I just don't understand how that could, like, anything other than affirming of their orientation, I guess, that they just assumed that they had. You know, the feminine penis. It's fine. She is very proud. She's a very proud girl. I'm very proud of my proud girl. The floofy ball did move, as she oftentimes does. Okay, let's see. More questions. We have about half an hour left, so ask him now or forever hold your peace until next Friday, which we might not be streaming next Friday because it's Mother's Day weekend and life stuff's happening, and honestly, my life's kind of a mess, but probably will be streaming next Friday, but possibly not, and we will see. Oh, awesome. Too bad I can't watch live because it's 3 a.m. here and I got to sleep after a great dungeon night full of impact play and friends. Well, that's awesome. I am glad that you had a fun time. Just got done stopping at an auto parts place. Apparently it's an ESG valve and isn't going to be too terrible in a couple $100. Well, that could definitely be worse as far as potential car repairs go. Will you ever make a vid on celebrities who are open/gone public with their kinks, like Quentin Tarantino, Rihanna, David Carradine, Armie Hammer, and others? Okay, so some of these aren't even people that are open with their kinks. Armie Hammer, I don't think has ever gone public with his kinks. I think he got outed as being an abusive serial cheater, which is different. I'm pretty sure Quentin Tarantino just has a foot fetish, which is not really the same thing as having a kink. And I don't know, I don't even know who David Carradine is. So I can't really, if I Google, will I even recognize this person's face if I Google it? Let's find out. David Carradine. Carradine. Oh, he's like an old school movie actor. Way before my time. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, he was in the Kill Bill films. Well, I mean, I guess if he worked with Quentin Tarantino, probably. Okay, wait. He was arrested and prosecuted for a variety of offenses, which often include substance abuse. Okay, so again, is he kinky, or does he just commit crimes while being under the influence and then blame, and then says, oh, it's a kink thing, it's because I have a sexual fetish? Like, I am not finding any sort of early, easy answer about this. So the jury's out on that one. And then Rihanna is Rihanna public about being kinky? Like, enough for me to make a video on it? Like, I just feel like fans have interpreted her music a certain way. And I think she's sort of like wink, wink, nudge, nudged about being into certain kinky things. But again, I don't feel like there's enough meat there for me to be like, ah, yes, look at Rihanna and she does BDSM. Like, I don't think there's enough really for me to do there other than the same kind of speculation that a celebrity drama channel would do. He's a psychopath. He's not kinky. Yeah, how about we not glorify abusive weirdos who also engage in cannibalism? Look into David Carradine's death. I'm going to say no on that one. I'm not going to waste my precious time of my life to do that, but I maybe after the stream I will do that. Yeah, I'm not. I appreciate the concept of talking about celebrities that are more open with their kink, but I just don't feel like we actually have any celebrities that are really open about their kinks enough for me to actually make a video about it. I think it's mostly either fan speculation or like subtle nudges as opposed to like being full on out about it, you know? Like, there's a difference between like, I don't know, somebody, I mean, honestly, I do have a video, that I'm not published yet, but I have done talking about Julia Fox and her time as a pro dom and her translating that into her Hollywood experience in the last couple months, like over the last year or so. So I do have a video about Julia Fox. Julia Fox? I think it's Julia Fox. I don't know, what Julie Fox just seems to make more sense in my brain for some reason. Carradine's wife said he was kinky. I mean, how can I make a video where I just say, like, oh, he was kinky and then he died of, like, autoerotic asphyxiation? Like, how does this sound like a fun video? I mean, Depeche Mode, I think, is probably more kinky than most of these people on this list are. All right. Yeah, people are struggling tonight. Okay, as the cat question. Oh, the roommate's cat name is Nadja. She's starting to get a little bit more brave. She mostly has been sleeping underneath my roommate's bed for the last, like, couple weeks, but she's starting to explore more of the house and possibly go downstairs occasionally. So maybe at some point she'll wander in here when I'm recording and she'll appear on stream, but so far that hasn't happened yet. Oh, Pomeranian, he's tricolor. His second birthday's in 2 weeks. Oh, he's a little baby. Not even 2 yet. Well, happy birthday. He's old enough to be Bandit's probably great or great grandchild. That's very cute. That's very cute. Because Bandit is, how old are you, Bendita? You're born in 2012. You're 11. You turned 11 on March 1st, huh? My goodness. Yeah, definitely old enough to be a great grandma. But she's always my baby, even when she's also a great grandma. Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious. I'm also active in a lot of cat groups, and also something that I see a lot of pet parents say. I mean, the more you know. Oh no, I was talking to my stepson's bio mom. Stepson is 17 on the phone on speaker, and I know where she said, oh, I'm going to insert BDSM club name here. And he said, isn't that a fetish club? Oh no. Well, he's 17, so, he's almost an adult. Hopefully it's not too emotionally scarring, but kids while trying to have an adult life is tricky. Tricky. You saw what happened when dogs start talking from Rick and Morty? Well, if my dog started talking, I think she'd be a perfect angel, and nothing would go wrong. How many rituals is reasonable to try and add to a routine, like per week? When your end goal is 24/7 protocol with periodic review. I feel like bi-weekly is usually good. Like once every other week, so twice a month, I feel like is if you feel like you have the time and the energy to handle it. I feel like my ideal for like cultivating something that will really work long term for a DS relationship is probably more like once every 3 or 4 weeks. Because I think it gives you a lot of time to independently test how different things feel. And I think you have to have enough time doing whatever the new ritual or protocol is for long enough to where it goes from being like a cool new shiny thing into more of a mundane routine thing. So you know what it actually feels like on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to like, I think if you add things too quickly, you have this like cool new exciting thing, and it's like while that's still exciting and new, you're adding another second new thing that's also exciting new, and then another thing that's also exciting and new. But when those things over time, the earlier things that are less exciting start to drop off in favor of the new exciting things that are constantly on the verge of popping up next week, right? And so you never really settle in, I think, into a routine where you can as easily figure out what works and what doesn't, and what actually feeds you long term versus what feels good in a fantasy versus reality versus what your partner wants versus, what works for you 1 year versus the next year is going to potentially be different. And I think slow, just simple. And I know it's really difficult, especially when you're excited about having a power exchange relationship, to not want to leap in. I think maybe if you want to have more to start with, you can start off with like a set of like simpler rules of like maybe 2, 3, 4 core rules about maybe like addressing titles or like sleep patterns or something, like depending on what your living circumstances are, and then start with those, have like a cluster at the beginning, and then build off of that core cluster. But I think once every other week or once a month is a pretty good pace for spacing things out enough to know how they really feel in isolation. Because if you're always adding in new things, it's hard to tell like what's actually working and what's not. If you're always like, is it the new thing? Is it like, because if you're testing things and you have like 3 weeks of just doing one thing before you add in something else, it's a lot easier to see how that is in isolation versus when you are always adding in new things. Is it the thing by itself? Is it these two things combined? Is it the amount of time that it takes to do all of these things at the same time? Like, is it like which element actually ends up becoming the problem if things fall away? But I know that's like hard to, like, if you're really in the mood for like, I really want power exchange, I know I want this relationship, I want to get there. It's really hard to pace yourself, but I think in the longer term, pacing yourself tends to work better. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, start with easy mode and then turn up the intensity later. Because there's always room. Like, I find that if we're thinking in the long scale of relationships, I cannot think of any relationships that have been damaged or lessened by going too slowly in the beginning, where you had a power exchange relationship and you did things once a month and it was very gradual. I don't know anyone that I can think of, and if you are one of these people, feel free to speak up. I'm not trying to speak over those experiences. I just don't know any of them. I think there could be a potential for maybe mild frustration of not being able to go as deep as you wanted to go and feeling like, oh, why did we wait 2 extra months to get to this point? But if you're thinking about a relationship that could last for 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 plus years, does 2 months really matter that much to make sure you were doing it the right way? Like, and I say the right way, I mean in the way that's most likely to get you the outcome that you want, versus almost one of the most common factors I've seen for when power exchange falls apart and doesn't work for people. And a story I've heard over and over and over and over again from presenters that talk about power exchange relationships. Be that Shane Stefanos, be that, well, I won't, like, you know, there's a whole, I don't want to, like, I don't know if this falls into a category of something that's maybe like too personal for me to like talk about it. So I'll just leave it at that because I know they talk about it a lot. Like, there's a lot of people, even like nationally known, really well-respected presenters, that they have power exchange relationships, and they all like had a moment at some point, typically, where, oh, I know, Fuzzy baby, I know. I moved, and a little noise happened, huh? Because I moved the desk. It's okay. You just go back to sleep, honey. Go back to sleepy time. I know. People are walking around out there, huh? It could be the cat. It could be kitty cat. She's all perked up listening for the kitty cat. Yeah, so getting back to my point, the thing I've seen a lot of people do with power exchange relationships that I've heard over and over and over again in classes as a cautionary tale is people that got really into power exchange really early on, and they obviously were compatible enough to have a long-term relationship build off of it, but originally they were both so gung-ho about it that they went, you know, let's make this whole protocol rule book thing. It's 20 pages long. Here's all these rules. And inevitably it ends up being too much, too quickly. It's overwhelming. It's confusing. Things get forgotten. Different things get prioritized. Life happens. Things that you thought were going to be really hot in fantasy ended up not being so great in reality, and yada yada. And inevitably those end up breaking down and then having to be rebuilt at some point. So I think there's something to be learned. I think there is something that you can learn from that experience of having to tear everything down and rebuild again. But if you don't have to do that, if you can just start sustainable and build up slowly without having to have this like existential crisis of the whole relationship of like, can we even be doing DS because we're trying to do it this quote unquote right way that everyone's supposed to be doing it, and then when we do it, it's a failure and doesn't work. So yeah, I think it's complicated, but I think generally having things be slow and controlled is the better way of doing it. Yeah, 100%. We eased into it. He was very new to BDSM when we started as well, so we kind of had to ease into it. Yeah, that's another thing as well, right? Like, are you both brand new to kink? Is one of you brand new and one of you experienced? Have you both done BDSM for a long time but never done power exchange before? Have you both done power exchange before and maybe you're carrying in some baggage or expectations from previous relationships? Like, all of those affect how you might approach BDSM and how you think those things should work or have worked in the past, and it can be a lot to work through. And especially if you're in a scenario where you maybe had a previous power exchange relationship, it can be easy to just go, well, this worked in my previous relationship, we should do this exact thing, and just like dust off the old rule book and be like, all right, I want this, and this. And then, but like, your partner is a new person, right? Or like, they're usually you haven't cloned your partner, and if they're not identical in terms of their wants, needs, experiences, yada yada. And so like, you can't just take what worked with the previous relationship and then expect that it's going to work again. Like, there's not like, you can't develop a universal contract where anyone that you use it with is going to have the exact right experience you want to have with it. Like, you got to tailor it to the individual person, even if maybe you can take lessons from those previous relationships in terms of like the pacing of it or the number of rules, or like for you, right? You can take away what you learned from it for like, I can reasonably handle keeping track of this many daily expectations, or I can keep track of having this many hours devoted to physical fitness or whatever. Like, you can take those lessons for yourself personally, but having them for your partner is a little bit more difficult. The more you use into it, the longer the experience. Yeah, exactly. Like, you, I wouldn't think about it like, this is me. And once again, I can't speak for anyone else or to anyone else on this. Well, I'm speaking to all of you, but I mean to other people's internal experiences. I think, once again, people tend to rush. They tend to get into things very quickly, and they want to get to the fun stuff right away. But having a slow, tantalizing drip feed, having that expectation, that anticipation of like, ooh, next week we're finally going to get to do this, or in another couple weeks we're finally going to get to talk about this, and having that anticipation spread out for longer over the course of the relationship, I think is a lot better than rushing through everything at the beginning and then being like, okay, well, now what? Like, we've done everything, we've gotten through everything, checklist of fun stuff's depleted, panic, because now you don't, now you've run out of like you gotta like pace. I think for me, it's pacing the emotional deepening of the relationship with the physical or the BDSM deepening of the relationship. Because if you are like, you've been together, you've known each other for like 3 weeks, and then you have a 20-page contract and you've gotten all these rules and everything in your whole fantasy world has suddenly been outlined for you, and now you have that, and it's like, okay, well, now what? Like, the fun hot contract I wanted, it's finished, and now what? But you don't have the emotional depth to, I think, carry you through actually executing on that or knowing how it's going to work in reality. Whereas when you're pacing it out, at the same time that you're like learning more about each other as people and doing scenes together and going to events together and just like developing more of an emotional connection and possibly maybe a friendship or a romance or something outside of the DS, you're also adding in things to the DS. So one's not outpacing the other. They're kind of, they're going more like this as opposed to like boop and whoop, like we've known each other for 3 weeks and now we're collar, dom, and sub, and we're all the way at the end goal, and There's no, like, we went really, really far, but the depth was extremely shallow. Yeah, I need a chart. Yeah, it's about the journey, not the destination. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to kind of note about that. I feel like I've sort of said what I wanted to say. Yep, my other half and I have been play partners for 10 years now, only living together for 4 years. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment, even if it's only 4 years. Being realistic is very important. Life happens. That's very true. Life does happen. You got to make room for life. Because life will happen to you regardless of if you make room for it or not. So it's always better to have that cushion in advance. And also, like, part of why you pace things out that way is because, like, life does happen. And if you have 2 years of life experience together before you get to the end point of, like, where you want your contract to be at or where you want your rules or protocol structure to be at, you have more of an ability to anticipate and work around, like, what do we do for family holidays? What do we do if the dom's sick or the sub is sick or somebody gets fired or has an injury or isn't feeling well, or we're polyamorous and they have a huge breakup, or they want to move in together. Like, you're able to handle and weather out those life things because you've been dealing with them piecemeal as you're growing the relationship. Whereas if you just have everything completely up front, like, there's nothing in that contract that tells you how to deal with, like, this is what we're going to do if the house floods, or you lose your job, or, like, your mom gets sick with cancer or something. Like, there's nothing in there that helps you navigate those other life things happening. And I think that causes a lot of relationships to fail, is because it's only meant to work under ideal conditions and it hasn't been tempered and tested with reality yet. Yeah, the Mr. and I dated vanilla for 3 years before we got kinky, and after that we decided to build up 24/7. Yep, that's, I don't have to do it that way, but it is a really good way of doing it. The kink version of U-hauling, yep. At the core, the most important aspect of a power exchange relationship is the relationship. That's my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I think if what you just want is somebody to order you around and give you a set of rules and, like, be mean to you occasionally, like, you can hire a pro dom. You don't have to go through, like, if this sounds really overwhelming of, like, this is going to take way too long. Where did I put my, oh, here's my water bottle. Where did I put my water bottle? Okay, much better. Yeah, I think if you're, okay, where was my thought going with that? Yeah, like, I mean, if you just want somebody to order you around and you want, like, the playful, fun scene parts of a power exchange, but you don't want the effort or the time it takes to build up to that, like, you can hire a sex worker, like, you can hire a pro dom, you can do something over, I don't know, like Sext Panther or OnlyFans, or, like, there's tons of options out there if you just want the hot role play aspect of it to satisfy that kind of need for you. And you don't have to spend 2 years building up a relationship of what you just want is somebody to tell you that you're a naughty boy and that you have to apologize for all your transgressions. No option to super chat. We need a tip jar for you. Offers so much value. There should be super chats. Is it not monetized? Enable monetization to insert ads. There should be. We had that earlier on the stream. It looks like I can send a super chat to myself. So there should be super chats, but we do also, if that's something that you are interested in, we do have a link down below in the description box, or should at least, for Streamlabs. But it should be, if you're looking on the text entry line, the text entry, that sounds wrong. The text box, the chat box, there should be a little $sign, and then that should give you the option for super chats. And then it'll read out your question or statement, or, like, your sticker, or whatever you want to put in there. All right, we have 10 minutes here, so let's get into some more questions. Okay, I'm way over the place with questions. I'm all over the map. Okay, I'm so sorry. I definitely will be missing a lot of questions today. but I will try. Oh, thank you, Twixie. Yes, there you go. Now you can see. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. So cute. You love it. You love to see it. If you're on mobile, it might not show up. Yeah, I think if you're on maybe iOS, I feel like there's some weirdness with iOS and like YouTube and Super Chats. But I have an Android phone, so I don't know what the iOS experience is like for YouTube. But it should work for Android. Personally, I won't play with someone if they've even had just one drink, just my own boundary that differs for everyone. Yeah. To be clear, like if your boundary is I won't play with anyone even if they just had one drink, like I wouldn't play with a stranger that had been drinking at all. Like in an existing partnership where we've talked about it before, I might be comfortable doing that. But if it's anyone that I don't know really well, absolutely not. No, I would just be comfortable talking about doing something in the future, maybe, or meeting up at a different time. But yeah, I wouldn't play with a stranger that had any level of drinking happening. Because somebody can say, oh, I just had one drink, but then you don't really actually, unless you were there watching them the entire time they've been at that venue. And even then, they could have been drinking somewhere else earlier in the night. Who knows, right? You know, so it's hard to take strangers just at face value sometimes. And obviously having any kind of limit around any of that is very much a personal choice, and whatever boundary you want to have there is fine. The ritual part's not been addressed yet. But I haven't seen any questions about rituals, so I'm keeping an eye out for them. But I am at the mercy of the chat to ask certain questions. So it depends on what we talk about, which is currently where I'm at, talking about Blue's Clues. Ooh, making a fancy vegan sausage bow tie pasta whilst listening. Ooh. Intense eye contact is my kryptonite. It is for a lot of people. It is an underestimated skill. Absolutely. I forget what country this was, but there was a European country that had musketeers in pink silk vests because that was the most masculine thing available. Wasn't that like Vatican City or something? That feels like the kind of thing they do. But I feel like their colors are like gold and red or something. No. What is a splorch? What is splorch play? Wait. I think I know it in an ovipositor, ovipositor, because that was like a big thing on Tumblr. There's a lot of people that were into that. Isn't that the egg thing? Because like ovi or ovi or whatever, that's like eggs. And I don't know splorch. No, I'm not into aliens. But maybe I should do a video at some point about alien kinks, because it is not a super popular kink, but more popular than you might assume. Because us Americans, we love UFOs and Area 51 stuff, so maybe that's not too much of a surprise. Do cowboys flog or whip cows? Is it even a thing? I don't think so. I feel like cows get herded with like herding dogs, but they don't think they get like, yeah, it's like, why are you even, that's not even a thing that happens. Like, I think like horse whips are a thing, but like, you know, I don't think you use those on cattle at all. Yeah, it's very strange. Steven Crowder whipping a horse or flogging a cow. It's bizarre all the way through, truly. I fully missed like the first fucking hour of questions. I cannot scroll back far enough in the chat to be able to see everyone's question, so I apologize. If I missed anything, please, we have 5 minutes left, so if you would like to, please repeat your question, and I will try to get to it ASAP. Oh, yeah, like egg implanters. Yeah. I think that's what they are. iOS has stickers and animated chat available and defaults to the $49.99 sticker. Whew! Holy guacamole. Please do not spend $49.99 on a sticker for this. Please, that's like a a nice fancy delivery meal or like some really sweet groceries or something. I just measure things in like what nice food you can buy, I suppose. Get a lot more value for that. Oh, thank you, Bratface. Can you talk about fun ways to build in consent with a partner when exploring new rituals? Yeah, great question. I need some more water first. Okay, so there's sort of two ways I'm interpreting this, which is one, building in rituals where consent is part of the ritual, and also making sure that consent is present while trying to add in new rituals. Like just making sure your partner is like consenting to like the new rituals that you're doing. I think if it's the latter situation, I think there's lots of ways to go about it that's going to be consensual. Like I think for most people, when you are trying to develop new protocols and rituals, I don't think it should be a surprise. I don't think it should be like, all right, slave. Well, I mean, if you're in a TP relationship and you're actually a slave, that might be a little different. But if you are in a power exchange relationship, typically you're going to talk about new expectations before they go into place. So you can talk about like potential pitfalls or emotional triggers or trauma or anything else that might come up that the partner might not previously know about unless you offered having that conversation. So usually you'll talk in advance, and like that'll be how you establish consent when you explore new rituals, is like, all right, we're meeting together, dom and sub, and then the dom will say, all right, little one, so for the next month I've been thinking, and I really like it if you could every morning send me a picture wearing your panties in the morning, and I have to approve them before you leave to go to work. It's like a classic one that a lot of people are into. And then the submissive can say, that sounds great, I'm so happy to do that, daddy, let's do that, awesome. Or they can say, that makes me like, keeping in mind the communication protocols of your relationship, like how you would say this, like you would maybe, if you're not into that or it's like a boundary for you, you'd say like I appreciate that's something that you want to do, however I have to be awake to go to work at 4:30 in the morning and you don't wake up until 8 a.m. if I recall correctly, so I don't know how we can make that work. Could we do this other thing instead? And I think having a back and forth where you are, even if you say no to an idea, offering an alternative is usually better than saying no by itself. If you're both in the spirit of like you want to add ritual and you want to make something work, it's usually better to be like, no, but, than it is to just say no, you know? I mean, I am vegan, but I don't look up photos or videos of mass factory farming stuff because I know enough about it as it is, and it already makes me uncomfortable, so I need to like confront myself with the mental anguish that invokes. Can you talk more about kid and play? Probably not in the next 2 minutes, but in general, sure. Depending on what your questions are. Come back next week, or possibly, if you have ideas for what you want to see in a video, I could do that. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Boundary while in character is I am not worthy. This is a good line which keeps in the slave-like role play in effect, yet each side understands what it means. Yeah, like you can build in code words to what you're saying. Like you can say, like, when I say mercy, that's the same thing as safe word. If I say I'm not worthy, that means I can't do this. Like, yeah, you can build in coded language that keeps you in your role play perspective while also not breaking the communication protocols of the relationship. But if you want to have rituals that sort of embed the concept of consent into your relationship, like on a more ongoing basis, that's sort of an interesting question. How would you, like, on I almost sort of think about, because one of the classic ones I suggest for a lot of people to start with is something in the morning or in the evening of like texting each other good morning, or having some kind of mantra or meditation time or journaling time. I think if you want to do something as a couple that is embedding the consent practice, It could be a good morning message or a good evening message, like before you go to bed. And, you know, if you live together, obviously, like, you're not going to necessarily text each other good morning because they're going to be right there. But if you're, I'm assuming that you're probably not living together, but if you are, then you can modify this based on that. But I almost think about something that's like asking your partner to like reaffirm their desire to be in the power exchange relationship. But also isn't like giving up power at the same time. Like, I want to say something to the effect of like I don't know, like will you do me the service of like of being my submissive today, or like will you please me with being my kitten today, like something that's like a question we were asking the person to confirm, like you want to be here, you want to do this, you want to be here with me. Or it could also be like almost sort of like a question and response thing of like are you my kitten today? Yes. Like, are you my kitten now and always? Like, you can have things that sort of build in this sense of like affirming, like you are here actively and you want to be in this relationship, but also like you have the ability to say no and like say no, not today. So there's other ways to build in ways to think about consent, is just like asking questions actively in the moment, or even having like some kind of daily check-in about like how the person's feeling about the relationship, or how they're feeling about the power exchange, or like having, if you're having something like a meditation or a mantra, like having that be part of the meditation or the mantra, where like I am here because I actively choose to be. Today I enjoy being able to serve, and I know that like I'm actively choosing this, or I like something that reinforces the knowledge that like you have the ability to leave or revoke consent or say no if you want to, but that you're actively choosing to submit or to be dominant, and knowing that you can still walk away. Does that make sense? She is very much a little micro dire wolf. She is my little baby werewolf, is what I like to call her. She is very cute. Well, I think I think those are maybe some good ideas for build-in consent with a partner, is like asking affirming questions, having ritual that reinforces like the person's ability to consent and the knowledge that they can like walk away or say no, I think is a good thing to do. And then obviously, like before you implement any new ritual or protocol or anything, or rule, anything like that, always talk about consent and get confirmation from your partner that that is also something they want and that sounds fun to them. Like that could be as simple as like if you have a ritual around putting on a collar or an anklet or something, right? It could be a clasp on a keychain or a bracelet. Like, you know, it could be a million things, or just simple, like maybe you don't even have a collar, but you're putting on their jewelry in the morning or something before they go to work. And you can have an affirmation in there of like, are you ready for me to put this on you, kitten? Or do you still want to be like, you know, is my submissive ready to wear this today? Like something that gives them the option to like say no or make room for that conversation if they're not feeling it, but also like is still not like you have to be careful about balancing that without it seeming like you're constantly doubting the relationship, you know, because sometimes like certain ways of framing it can make it sound like you're doubting whether or not they really want to be there, and that's not also good. She is very cute. All right, well, on that note, I think that's all that we have time for this evening. So do you want to say goodbye to the people up close, little dog? I know every time you just lay over. You gotta come over here, honey. You gotta come closer. You gotta come closer. Here we go. Oh, a little closer. We're gonna flop over the other way. I don't know why we do this. I don't know why. You guys see the belly rubs? I don't know. Hi, dog. Hi. You're such a good girl. Come here. Come here. Here we go. All right. There we go. Hi, my sweet girl. Hi, little girl. So sweet. Oh, give me a little lick. Okay. She is, yes. Good night to the precious bandita. Little bandolina. The bandita barita. So sweet. My water bottle's in the way. And in the way of the cuteness. In the way of the cuteness. Thank you and have a relaxing night, Evie and Beta. Have a good night and weekend, everyone. Yes. She definitely knows when the stream's about to be over. She's like, oh boy, we're going to have time together. We're going to hang out. Yay, yay, yay. Good times. Good hanging out time. All right, y'all. Good night. Thank you so much for being here with me on this Friday evening. Have an amazing weekend. Stay safe, you guys. Have fun. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.